I have to!
Hey Sass Squad, welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, I just wanted to show you some of my first battles of the current Season 11. And obviously this season's going to be a little bit more chill. So I wanted to start off the season just kind of running some spice. This was actually a team suggestion from my homie Kaigum, and these are the battles. So let's check out some of our first impressions of the season. So in our first match, we do get ourselves a Scizor lead, which honestly is a little scary even for Azu, even though the moves will be hitting neutral. We don't necessarily have any type of moves that are going to hit Scizor, aside our Hydro, so we try to get this shield, just throw an Ice Beam, and fortunately for us, they do fear the Hydro Pump, and they are going to shield. Crazy enough, I do not shield either of these moves, and they do end up trying to bait us on that second move, which is kind of huge because Iron Head would have definitely been punishing for us, but being able to take that Night Slash was really nice. We don't mess around anymore. We throw a Hydro. We're able to safely knock out the Scizor at this point, and we bring in our Alolan Grimer here on their Azumarill. So this is a really nice situation. They do end up having a Seismitoad in the back line, and surprisingly this becomes a little bit of a threat to us. Having our Azu at very low health and our only real means to an end is our Alolan Geodude, not really the best situation for us, but fortunately we are able to get off a couple crunches here with our Grimer. We do get a defense drop, and we're just gonna let our Grimer go to the muddy water, and I think here, hey, you know what? I'm gonna try to get to an Ice Beam. I think I just end up letting Azu go in hopes that potentially this is the correct play, that we shield our Geodude and maybe we can pull off the win. So they switch back into their Azu. I know I can get a little bit of energy gain before I throw a Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt's absolutely going to KO the Azumarill, and we are in a situation where we just barely pull off the Rock Slide, and this will be enough damage to knock out our opponent. So our very first game, a little spicy, but we came out on top there. And this match, okay, so as you can probably see, my team doesn't really do that well against this Stunfisk. So how are we going to fare? How are we going to pull off this win? I stay in, I take the first discharge. Fortunately for us, Azu will be able to tank 2 discharge in this matchup, and we will more than likely be able to get the shields. So that's what we're going to try to attempt to do here. We're going to try to get both shields, and I mean ideally we'd love to connect one of these, but they're not gonna let Ice Beam slip on through. To them, this is such a hard win for them, and what we're gonna do now is we're actually gonna bring in our Alolan Grimer, knowing that, you know, we can actually tank a move and still get off a crunch if we really need to, but I will commit 1 shield. They do bring in a Scrafty. This is really scary in a lot of ways, but I'm just gonna throw a Sludge Bomb, and fortunately that's great because it does connect, do a decent amount of damage. We're gonna try to save energy on our Grimer, and we're gonna bring in the Geodude. So what we're gonna do here, we're just gonna let this slip on through, and crazy enough, it's actually Acid Spray. So we are lucky. We are going to be able to throw this Rock Slide on the Stunfisk, which in turn will do a decent chunk. And at this point, it's really up in the air. Can I win this match? I'm banking on my Alolan Grimer with a shield. Come in. I'm not messing around with the Stunfisk. I just want to remove it. And we have ourselves a Jolteon, which is a little spicy here in the back line. There's going to be a lot of spice occurring in this video today. It's just the nature of the beast. In this situation, I guess I should have probably waited to use Sludge Bomb, but regardless, the same outcome happens, you know, the victory, essentially. So in our next battle, we end up getting a Moltres lead, which obviously is really good for us. We get a Raichu. We're just going to bring in our Grimer because that seems like a great... The way I usually look at these type of switches, like what determines what I bring in here, like yes, I could have brought in Geodude, but Geodude has a great matchup against Moltres as well. So we're going to just bring in our weakest link from what we can assume our opponents are currently doing. So yeah, this is pretty good. We're gonna take one wild charge and then, or yeah, wait, no, we double shield, excuse me. And now we're just gonna throw the Sludge Bomb off because they end up having a Charizard. And at this point in the match, I already knew I won this. Like, I wasn't even in any way concerned because we had Azumarill and the Geodude. So yeah, we were not worried about what would happen in this match. And the thing about Moltres is there's a good chance that they were like Ancient Power, Sky Attack, Ancient Power, Overheat. They were not getting to a move right there. So GG to them. In this match, we get Jellicent lead. Not necessarily a good matchup for our current Azu, or Azu in general. So I end up switching to Grimer. And our opponent, for whatever reason, they decide they're going to stay in here. And we take a Shadow Ball to the face, which does a decent chunk, but we are Dark type. So not really too scary. We're going to stay in. We connect a Crunch. We're going to throw another one. Are we going to get a shield here? We do, in fact, get the shield. And not only do we get a shield, we get the defense drop. So I figured they're probably going to try to throw another Shadow Ball. We might as well shield this. In comes the Swampert, and I'm just going to let my Grimer go to the Swampert. Our best case scenario is to try to bring in our Azumarill. And obviously, if this has Sludge Wave, it's a little scary. But they do try to bait with Hydro Cannon. I made a great call, it did not shield. So we're going to throw the Ice Beam. We will get a shield here. And the real question is, are they going to throw Sludge Wave? No. I'm suspecting no, they will not. So they do actually throw Sludge Wave. A little scary, but at the same time, not the worst case scenario, primarily because we do get to the Ice Beam still. And at this point in the battle, it's all we really need to do is make sure this Swampert is gone with a farm down. And fortunately for us, we can farm down Swampert, we can farm down Jellicent, and they have Ariados in the back line. And Rock Slide from our Geodude will be enough to eliminate this Ariados. Absolutely no problem. Like I said, a lot of spice here in the beginning of these sets. So in this next battle, we actually get a throw lead, and as you can tell, we were kind of cracking up about this on my stream when I was battling, because they're clearly, these are all like 800 CP, and people are joking around saying I was like crushing a 10-year-old's dreams right now. But I was convinced, you know, this was a 40-year-old man who just got out of a relationship team. But let me know in the comments, do you think this is a 10-year-old playing, or do you think this is some guy that, you know, just happened to be depressed, looked at the app store, saw Pokemon Go, got a new update, tried it out for the first time. Here they are. But yeah, I mean, this will be the end of our very first set of Season 11, which obviously, not really that serious of a season. I did not even realize that we were going to be seeing Johto Cup still. Clearly, we're just doing some Open Great League. Feels great to kind of bring out our Alolan Grimer and Geodude and actually get some victories. But yeah, I mean, this is not going to be a very typical of a season, realistically, like what we're seeing in these battles. But yeah, so we end up going 5-0 for our very first set of the season. Not necessarily trying to make the best team, but getting kind of lucky / just trying to pull it off here. And yeah, it paid off. So let's get into some of our next battles here. I just want to show the Crobat. I mean, that's what my reward was for the first set, just in case everyone's curious. All right, so in our next set, we start off here, we get Medicham lead. It's pretty solid for us. They end up switching into Lickitung, and ideally we don't want to stay in here too long, but I make the mistake, and I'm staying in here too long. I figured they're probably just going to try to throw Power Whip. Fortunately, that is the case. And I decided, you know what, I'm just going to throw Hydro. And they do shield. And at this point, it would have been a great idea to try to get out of here. And this is clearly a body slam, but I got a little scared. And I did shield, and I feel a little bad about it. But, you know, I'm not going to lose sleep tonight. I bring in my Grimer. Grimer is going to have a pretty solid matchup here. I mean, they end up throwing a Power Whip. I don't know what the deal was with that. Like, maybe it was an accident, but probably the best case scenario for us. In comes that Medicham. We're gonna just try to throw a Sludge Bomb. I should have probably just thrown Double Crunch, but I didn't think they would shield at all, and fortunately for us, that is the case. So we get off a decent chunk of damage, and now we're probably gonna scare shield, but in fact, they do not even shield at all. They just let it go. And we get a Whalrin, and honestly, this doesn't look too shabby for us. I'm gonna bring in Geodude because I can chunk a bit, and what I'm trying to do here is hopefully catch an EQ on my Azu. And oh my gosh, I actually made the call, and that was super awesome. So we're gonna throw an Ice Beam here on Lickitung. They decide, hey, we're not gonna shield. Perfect for me because they're in farm down range for my Geodude. And Geodude already has enough energy that as long as I can farm this Lickitung, I will have double Rock Slide. I make a bit of a mistake here and accidentally hit the Volt Switch, but there was nothing that Whalrin could have done as it came in. So even though I made that mistake on clicking, yeah, we were still going to get our double Rock Slide off, so GG. Alright, let's see what we got in our next battle here. How are you enjoying your season so far? Did you try any spicy lines out? Let me know in the comments below. Again, this was a team recommended by my homie Kaigum. Again, he just loves seeing the Geodude get some love. And honestly, Geodude did some clutch work during this format. So my opponent here decided to bring in Altaria here. I guess they don't really have much of an answer for Azu, and this is what they wanted to do. And unfortunately for them, they did throw, I think they threw a Dragon Pulse first, which, you know, people, I'm not going to say anything. But we do get ourselves a chance to bring in the dude. We tank a move. We're not afraid. They bring in the Venusaur, and Venusaur a little scary, but we do have 2 shields, and Rock Slide on a Shadow Venusaur is still going to hurt. And it's crazy because we're just barely living this Venusaur's onslaught. We knock out the Venusaur. In comes that Altaria. We bring in our Grimer. We're not afraid. We're just going to sit here, and in fact, I think I just commit the shield because there's really no reason to mess around with this. I can get to a crunch. I charge a slight amount of energy extra. I didn't want to get too ambitious here. Just knock out that Altair, got rid of it, and then we have the Medicham. And it's pretty much game at this point. I mean, I'm going to shield regardless, but we just want to try to throw Hydro, and, you know, they pretty much have to throw a Psychic here to kill me. Which, you know, this situation is not the best, but with what we have left in our line, we're going to be able to take care of it with Grimer. And fortunately for us, they do, for whatever reason, just like throw more power punches, and we're able to just kind of like get to the Ice Beam safely. Bam! It's looking good. Alright, another battle in the bag. So, again, I wasn't expecting much from running this line, but we end up doing some nice sets. But like I said, we're going to be seeing a lot of spice. So this opponent, they have Dragonair against our Azu, which obviously we don't have to worry about that. They decide it's not a great situation. They're going to switch in their Beedrill. And I panic a little bit, but I do bring in our Geodude eventually. And the thing about this matchup, the Beedrill actually destroys my team. And what we're trying to do here is just get as much damage off with the Volt Switch as we possibly can, because there will be a situation where we can kind of farm down, but fortunately they just let Beedrill go. And we're going to die to an Aqua Tail, but that's quite okay because we already know that Azu has a great matchup here against the Dragonair. And fortunately, they switch into Shiftry. Normally, them switching and wasting our energy like that would be huge, but in this scenario, it's actually very good because they have to shield the Ice Beam, and we have the perfect switch in, our lone Grimer, who is just going to tank every single move by Shiftry. I can threaten it with every type of charge move I have, and we're just going to eliminate this Shiftry. Dragonair doesn't have much it can do to our Azu, so even if we die here, and the Dragonair has some energy. None of its move pull is threatening to Azu. So Ice Beam is very possible for us to reach safely and knock out the Dragonair, and that's game. Pretty insane match, honestly. We just had such a hard win for that lead, and we lined it up perfectly for the rest of the match. So in this battle, we get a Deoxys defense, and if it doesn't have Thunderbolt, we don't have to shield this. I make a risk, and I decide, hey, I'm not going to shield. And it is Rock Slide, so for me, it's a little obvious that this Deoxys defense is Rock Slide and Psycho Boost. So I'm not going to worry about shielding any moves, and I guess I could have taken this as an opportunity to try to Hydro Pump turn 1. Probably the better plan, but it doesn't work out in our favor, so I'm just throwing Ice Beams. We're just taking these Rock Slides, and it's in a crazy situation where, because it's Rock Slide and I am an XL Azu, I will be able to just take this Rock Slide and farm down and have energy for whatever comes in next. So they bring in Vigoroth, and I'm just going to throw this Hydro Pump. And they actually just take it to the face, which originally when this was happening, I thought, oh, I have a really great situation. I probably just win this battle. And I can take Body Slams here, but I got a little nervous. I didn't want to take a Bulldoze. So at this point, I knew I could take one because it was obviously another Body Slam. And then we get Scrafty. And Scrafty is a little difficult for our line to deal with, especially when they have 2 shields and we don't really have a means to an end, especially with the ramp of Power Punch. So this match will absolutely be a GG. I mean, even here, it's like, even if we get the shield and we try to throw the Sludge Bomb, Scrafty is so bulky, it will be able to take a Sludge Bomb from Grimer. And that's pretty much what happens here. I'm able to connect this Sludge Bomb, and it still just isn't enough. So GG. Tough Pokemon to try to handle there in the back line. So we get to Dene in our next match, and I'm going to switch to Grimer. And they end up staying in, and then they bring in their Shadow Nidoqueen. So fortunately for us, we can actually connect 2 Crunches, which I think is pretty huge, considering this Pokemon will be somewhat of an issue. And they make a great call and bait my shield with a Poison Fang. I didn't want to die to Earth Power, and they knew that, so great call on my opponent's end. And here, I'm just going to assume they're not going to want to throw Earth Power. And fortunately for me, it was a nice call, and I can get another Crunch, and hopefully this will connect and they won't shield. So they do end up dying, and I can line up my lone Geodude here with the Dene. And, you know, I knew I could take a move from this Dene, but I was actually kind of shocked at how much damage that Play Rough did to my Geodude. So I'm going to stay in, and I'm going to try to throw a move here on Trevenant, but, you know, honestly, there's not much I'm going to be able to do in this matchup. Trevenant will be able to outpace pretty significantly, and they connect that Shadow Ball, which, you know, does do more damage, I think, than the Seed Bomb. But the problem is, I don't think it even mattered when they threw and when I shield, because this Trevenant will easily outpace my Azumarill. I mean, I guess, like, you could think, like, if I shielded the first Shadow Ball, but, like, just based on how they got 2 Shadow Balls off and 1 Seed Bomb, I think it didn't really matter. One of the Shadow Balls was going to connect, and that's all that really mattered. So GG to that trainer. It was a great match. Alright, so that was a 3-2 set that I did, and I just want to show I got a Clefairy and counter. Alright, so in our next set, we get an Empoleon lead. That's pretty bad, and I decide I'm going to bring in Grimer. And fortunately, they like either panic switch, I'm not entirely sure, but they bring in their Mandibuzz. And I think this is kind of a solid situation for us, because we do connect that first Sludge Bomb. They're going to throw Aerial Ace. We're going to let it go through as well. And at this point, I think I'm going to start throwing Crunches in hopes that they will shield. So yeah, I don't shield at all, knowing that I can resist the fast attack. They can't farm me down with their fast move. and they're more than likely trying to win this switch, and we make a great situation. It's pretty nice because we do get the shield. I'm gonna shield this time because I know Crunch will knock out, so more than likely we're gonna get a shield here. And we get both shields, we get defense drop, and the thing is, I could have shielded here and farmed, but I figured, why not take the risk and just let Geodude get an energy lead? And they bring in the Empoleon, so to me, this makes me, I'm led to believe this was the best call, because we have a shield, we are going to be able to Thunderbolt this Empoleon away, which is a threat for our Azu, and then they have the Altaria in the back line, which clearly both of my Pokemon are going to be able to handle. So that worked out really nice for us. In this next match, we do get a Dugong lead, and Dugong is not running play rough. This is kind of like a stall neutral matchup. I mean, the way I was looking at this was, I'll get a Hydro Pump off, deal some neutral damage, and our opponent will throw 2 icy winds, and then I'll switch out and remove my debuffs and either force the switch or force them to stay in and deal with whatever Pokemon I bring in. And fortunately, our Alolan Grimer is able to get to the Crunch before the Icy Wind occurs, and we will force a shield. So I'm not going to shield the Icy Wind, and they will bring in Pidgeot, and I'm going to go for a Sludge Bomb. I mean, so if you're thinking about what's happening, we have 2 shields. We are currently technically in a great position because now we can bring in Geodude, and not any of Pidgeot's moves are threatening. And we know our Geodude can also farm down Dugong. So as of right now, I think we're in a great position. And fortunately for me, we are able to just take a Feather Dance and farm down Pidgeot with no worries. We're going to throw this Rock Slide just to like kind of like bait a shield, because we do see that they have a Marowak, which again, we're going to be able to destroy this backline. And you know what, I decide I'm just going to switch out Geodude to remove the attack drop, because it doesn't really matter what we do really at this point. So we end up Hydro Pumping the Marowak away, which just eliminates that threat entirely. And at this point, we just kind of have to like let our Azu die, and we Rock Slide our Geodude as it comes in, because we saved a move before we switched out. So it doesn't really matter what the Dugong was trying to do here. We had 2 shields. There's absolutely no way he could have overcome this battle. Yeah, GG. Yo, I realized actually after the fact that I'm facing the 6'4" ninja. Yo, shout out to that guy. Homie, great to have you here. But running some spicy Shadow Sableye here. So, you know, I just figured we probably are okay here, but you know, these power gems end up racking up a significant amount of damage. I wasn't really expecting it to be as threatening as it was, but yeah, that rock neutral damage plus the Shadow Claw damage really does add up here on Azu. So this is the one thing that was a little rough here. I had a really unfortunate situation where my game lagged and I couldn't like throw my Ice Beam, so I switched out, and I technically wouldn't have done this if it didn't lag like that. It was really weird. I don't know why like the game does that sometimes, but I think this entire match kind of got screwed over for that reason entirely. I mean, granted, Surf Edge is destructive to my backline, so it would have been very tight niche how we could have possibly won this, but I wouldn't have switched out into Grimer if I wasn't stuck getting hit by Shadow Claws and I couldn't throw my Ice Beam against that Sableye. So it was a little unfortunate. Like, they got a little bit of extra energy on Sableye, and we just kind of made a switch that we weren't really trying to do. And we got punished for it. But GG though, regardless. Awesome to see you there this early in the season. So in this next battle, we get a Ferrothorn lead. And I'm just going to switch in the P-Mouth because, you know, typically this is not what I would want to do, because Alolan Grimer is actually our only real way of dealing with Ferrothorn. So unfortunately for me, I switch it in and they do end up switching out. We do take a Power Whip though, which is kind of nice from the Ferrothorn. And we throw a Sludge Bomb on Azu and they just take it. I thought, you know what, we have to shield this and just farm it down. And we are able to just wreck that Azu. In comes a Hypno, and crazy enough, we are able to throw these crunches. We do get one shield. Are we going to get a second shield? I think they just let the second crunch slip on through. But at this point, I'm thinking, hey, we could probably bring in something here and not fear any of its moves at all. I didn't think it would be Fire Punch. So fortunately for us, we are able to tank that Elemental Punch. And unfortunately, I didn't want to shield against the Parathorn here, but this is insane how this plays out. So I throw a Rock Slide. I know I can connect 2 Rock Slides here. I'm just trying to get up damage. You know, any damage is going to help out in this matchup. So ideally, I could get one more off, and their Parathorn is trying to farm me down, and I can connect a 3rd Rock Slide here, which is so huge. Because I just switch in my Grimer and I farm down their Ferrothorn. And here I feel like I could have probably got to the crunch. That was a little weird. But to be fair, nothing that Hypno has can take out Azu at this range. So even if they throw like a Thunder Punch or a Shadow Ball, it doesn't matter. We can still farm down and it's a game. GG, trainer. Yeah, it was fun running the Alolan Geodude and Lone Grimer. So in this one we get Viper lead, which is kind of spicy, but knowing that it's a dark and grass coverage, I'm just going to bring in a Lone Grimer. I can tank anything it has. I figured they were just going to throw Poison Fang first. So, I mean, there was no reason to shield. And we throw a Crunch, they do shield, and they end up switching into their Wish Cache. And it's a Water Gun Wish Cache. I'm going to throw a Crunch, and we're not going to really concern ourselves too much about shielding or anything of that rather. We do get the Defense drop also with our Crunch, which I thought was kind of huge. And having the 2 shield versus a 0 shield, I knew that we can probably bring in Azu, safely get to Hydro, gain a little extra energy, knock out Wish Cache, and be prepared for whatever they're going to bring in here. So yeah, we made sure to get a little extra energy, but not staying too long where we get hit by another Mud Bomb. And in comes the Viper. I'm going to take the Poison Fang and I'm going to insta swap here to Geodude. And they end up having Clefable in the backline. And I thought it'd probably be best case scenario to just get 2 Rock Slides and launch them back to back. And fortunately for us, we can knock out. I didn't think 1 Thunderbolt was going to knock out pretty much. So definitely our best case scenario, because I didn't think Viper could farm me down, but that was kind of crazy. It was able to get pretty close to farming me. But to be fair, we were probably going to win that at that point anyways. Pretty insane. GG. So that was a 4-1 set, and I think I have one more set of battles here. I just want to show I got a Mischievous encounter for that set. Alright, so in this final set, we get another Deoxys lead, and you know, it's a give or take. Is it Thunderbolt or Rock Slide? I took the risk, and I don't shield the very first attack, and it does end up being a Thunderbolt, which is a little unfortunate, but I'm just going to try to connect a Hydro Pump. I'm not going to mess around here, and they do let that connect, so that was kind of nice. And here, I think I do end up shielding, and it is a Thunderbolt. I'm going to farm a little bit of energy, and then I'm going to throw an Ice Beam in hopes of getting another shield. Or getting a shield, excuse me. They just let Deoxys go, and then they quit the game. Alright, I guess they didn't like Azu. So in our next match, we get ourselves a Talonflame lead. Obviously this is solid. And they're going to bring in Swampert. I'm going to stay in with Azu, and I figured this is probably a Hydro Cannon, so there's really no reason to put up a shield. I'm going to just throw Ice Beam in hopes that we can get a shield from the Swampert, and that's exactly what happens here. I'm not going to shield here, I think, as well, and it's another Hydro Cannon, so that's really nice. I'm going to, now I think I do, I don't actually think I shield this either. Yeah, I figured, yeah, these are just Hydro Cannon spams. And we make some great calls. We're able to get the shields from the Swampert. And at this point, I will shield. And I'm not too worried about Talonflame because nothing really on my team is particularly weak to Talonflame. And we also have our Geodude who can pretty much farm it. So here I'm just gonna farm down, and after hitting the Ice Beam on Swampert, fortunately for us we can get it eliminated, and in comes a Togekiss, which, I mean, everything on our team is going to do well against the back line. So here I decide I'm gonna bring in Grimer because my fast move damage against the Charmer is so much more efficient, and we remove this Talonflame after throwing a Sludge Bomb on it and then Volt Switching it down. It doesn't even get a move off, and we can Rock Slide Togekiss upon it returning into battle, which is a GG. Alright, so in this next match we get an Altaria lead, which is really nice for us. Our opponent decides to stay in. We're going to throw Ice Beam, and they're going to shield oh, excuse me, they're not going to shield. I can't believe I didn't remember that. But oh, this is the Altaria that throws Dragon Balls. I think I mistakenly said one earlier through one. But yeah, this one, they just don't shield and they throw Dragon Pulse. I can take a Sky Attack regardless. But yeah, that was kind of a rough situation for my opponent. They bring Politoed. I mean, I didn't really have to throw anything here, but I did end up throwing a Hydro Pump. It connects. I'm not going to shield the first Weather Ball. I'm going to bring in Grimer and just kind of like try to throw some Poison Jabs here. I will shield this next. Oh, I know. I just let it go through. I just let it go through, and I think I'm just going to try to throw Crunch. Get a little bit of lag there, but I think we will be able to manage a shield here on Politoed. And I think we just try to get more damage off. We are able to farm down, which is crazy, actually. In comes Skarmory, and honestly, I could have just done Crunch. I don't know what I was doing here. Just kind of like a weird move to throw. I figured they would shield, but it didn't really matter. I mean, we had Geodude with 2 shields. There's nothing Skarmory can do here, so this is definitely a GG. And yeah, I get the double Rock Slide, so that's pretty much what you're going to see here for the remainder here of this battle. Double Rock Slide, and Skarmory is gone. Nothing it could have done here. So let's see what we get in our next battle here. This is our final set of the video. Okay, this one's tough. We get a Venusaur lead. Don't really have the best case scenario for it. I mean, honestly, it's not ideal to switch into Grimer like this. I mean, we don't really have a good answer. But they do end up having a Galarian Stunfisk, and this is terrible for us. Crazy enough, they do get a defense drop, which I think is kind of huge because it does scare them a little bit. And we are going to commit a shield because we don't want to get hit by Earthquake. It seemed kind of obvious that was going to be the play at this point. And they're going to get to another Earthquake. I think I double shield this. And honestly, it's like kind of a tough call because we don't necessarily want... There isn't really a great way for us to win this battle. But we do make the call, we switch in, we eat a Rock Slide, but the thing is, we're going to get one shot virtually by a Frenzy Plant. I mean, they can farm us at this point. And then there's really nothing we can do to take care of this Venusaur. Nothing on our team, even though we have the move with Grimer. I don't even think we can get to the second Crunch before dying to a Frenzy. Yeah, so this battle is just GG. Great game. Yeah, they definitely had the edge here. Didn't have much I could have done against that lead with the way my team is built. Alright, so in our next battle we do get a lone Marowak, which obviously is pretty great for us. They switch in Sableye. Not the scariest Pokemon for us to deal with, so we're going to stay in here, knowing that we don't actually have to rely on our Azu to deal with a lone Marowak. And you know, I kind of knew this was going to be returned, but I didn't see the problem in taking a return as well. And here I'm just gonna like, I think I just shield thinking it might be return also, but they make a great call and just go for a foul play. I'm gonna farm it down knowing that I can double Crunch on Marowak, which exactly what is gonna happen here. I'm gonna throw a double Crunch. I think one of them goes through, and then the second one we see a shield. I'm not gonna shield the Bone Club that comes at me because, like I said, nothing on our team is like, we have a lot of ways to deal with a lone Marowak with our current line. So we're just gonna let this go through. And fortunately, it's insane because we live the Bone Club. and I can throw a crunch. Grimer just coming up here all clutch. We get a defense drop, which I thought was pretty huge. And I decided, you know, I'm going to risk it for the biscuit. I'm not going to shield my Azu here. And fortunately, it is an Azumarill here in their backline. And a Thunderbolt from our lone Geodude will be enough damage to secure the win. So we can easily shield their Ice Beam and farm down. And have a Rock Slide pretty much ready here for that Marowak as it returns, and that will be the game. Nice. That was the final battle, and it was a 4-1. So in this video we went 5-0, 3-2, 4-1, 4-1. I think was the order. So kind of a fun beginning of the season. It's going to be kind of casual, so we'll kind of experiment slightly throughout the different formats. But if you enjoyed this content, consider liking, commenting, subscribing. It really helps YouTube recommend my content to a wider audience. And with that being said, the Sass Squad's getting stronger each and every day. You have a good morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you're tuning in. I'll catch you in the next one.